Your institution's physical and organisational structure are defined in this section, along with the permissions given to employees which allow them to access certain aspects of the system. Users. Users of the system are entered in this section, accessed via the users link at the top of the screen. This could be learners, managers, coaches, trainers, administrators, and validators. Adding learners allows you to define the user and at the same time all the basic organisational information which define a user. The database can be populated using one or a combination of the following methods. Option 1. Add new users. Users can be added to the system one at a time by selecting the Add User button. The form contains basic user data. If completing the learner records by entering the data manually, it is important to make sure the company structure, sites, roles, departments, company names, etc. are entered first so that they can be selected from the drop-down list boxes. Note that the role field for standard learners should be given the trainee role or a variant of that. This lets the learner access the training, but not the back-end data management functionality. More detailed information can be entered by clicking the Edit ILR Fields button. The Individualized Learner Record, or ILR, is a data standard that publicly funded colleges, training organisations, local authorities and employers must collect and return in order to draw down funding. This information is usually imported in directly from an ILR XML import file, else it can be entered and updated using this interface. Option 2. Import users. Select the Import Users option to import a set of users from a company database, etc. You then have the option of choosing one of 3 types of import. Import new users, import ILR users, import from the Individualized Learner Record standard XML file, import MATAS users, importing from the MATAS eTrack software data structure, import Disable list, anyone on the list in the current database is archived, and import Exclusive Disable list. Anyone not on the list in the current database is archived. When first populating the list, you will need to use any of the first 3 options. The latter 2 options used for archiving learners at a later stage. Select and then follow the instructions on screen. It is important that you include as much data as possible in the import templates, as this will populate the database with all the companies, countries, cities, departments, groups, etc. Before completing this process, take time to consider how you want to segment your data and what would be useful for you to filter when reporting. If there is not a like-for-like match with any category, then you can substitute a field that is by default in Elms Pro. For instance, location, with a field which is utilised in your organisation, i.e. cost centre. Fields labels can be renamed, more of this later. Option 3. Registered users. Users can register themselves onto the system using a registration page. This page will be set up by eLearning WMB to match your learner input inquiries. Contact eLearning WMB if you require users to register themselves on the system. Beware this is not usually recommended due to user error on data entry. Option 4. Single sign-on or SSO. eLearning WMB offer this option to enable learners to click a link to directly log into the Elms Pro system. Users need to be logged into their company's own intranet first. To activate single sign-on, there are 2 choices. Token, SSO, versus SAML, SSO, for instance Google. Instructions on how to do this are available in Appendix 1 of the manual. This is a technical task and will need the cooperation of your IT department. By default, the SSO procedure is not enabled. Option 5. Application Programming Interface or API. Elms Pro comes with its own API, which allows other systems to use a set of functions from within Elms Pro to edit and read data inside the Elms Pro system from a third-party application. This can include the addition of new users onto the system. Details of how to use the API are available in Appendix 2 of the manual. Again, this is a technical task which requires the customization of third-party software. Adding companies. There may be situations where it's preferable to split the hosted data into a number of companies. Examples include large group companies which operate as unique entities, or a reseller organisation hosting other company data. Arranging data into separate companies has two advantages. One, data can be discrete, hosted for each company. Management access can be restricted at the company level. And two, branding can be applied to each company at the login page. To add a new company, go to Organisation Setup, Companies, Add Company, and enter company details. If each company requires its own branding on the welcome page, then edit the welcome message, logo, and URL extension. Access can be restricted from company to company by logging in as coach or trainer with the manager and manager admin profile. This profile by default has the access to all companies checkbox switched off. Adding other organisation information. Additional organisational information can be added: countries, cities, companies, departments, jobs and groups. Note that these fields labels can be customised by the user to match their own organisational's labels. See the System Setup Defaults Labels option to see how this is done. Coaches or trainers. A feature of Elms Pro is that it has been designed to work in accordance with a business's needs. Coaches, trainers or managers can be assigned employees whose details they gain access to exclusively. To set up a new coach or trainer, find the employee you want to give the coach or trainer status to. Note that only users set up with the following default roles will be included in this list: manager, manager admin or super administrator. To add learners to each coach or trainer's account, select the Edit link. On this screen you can assign departments, employees and lessons or learning resources to that coach or manager. This means the manager will see the data from the learner in the selected department or departments, any learners directly assigned to them, and any learners who have carried out training on the selected learning resource or lesson. Roles. Roles should be considered as types of system users. For instance, learners, coaches or trainers, administrators, super administrators, etc. The type of role is defined by selecting the Edit button in the top right of the screen, and allows the administrator to combine any number of roles into a single user account. For instance, a super administrator can also be a coach or trainer or financial auditor, etc. These roles contain all the permissions which restrict and enable what they can and can't do in the system. The page access link displays the permissions page above. Here is listed the access permissions for each menu item in the admin interface. We can control what the user can do from seeing the menu link, viewing the data, adding and editing data. New rules can be created with new permission levels, or existing roles can be customised accordingly.